I'm back with Chris Gull, and this is part 2, and we're still talking about the Rainbow Fund in Brighton.
Right.
Go ahead, Chris.
Right. So you were asking me how long I've been involved, which is about 7 years. And I initially became involved with giving advice on where grants should go. So we have a panel, and I sat on that panel to consider applications. When Paul Elgood, one of the original founders, stood down as chair to work for the Democratic campaign in America, I took over. So I've been chair of that fund,
right.
of the Rainbow Fund since then.
Right.
And we're a bit like money launderers. We don't have any premises, any wages, anything like that. We have a bank account where money that is raised in the community...
Offshore?
No, no, in Barclays on North Street.
Yeah.
Where money that's raised goes into, and then we invite applications once a year from LGBT plus and HIV groups in Brighton and Hove, and we have a committee that sits and decides whether those applications should be granted or not, and then we pay out of that bank account. So that's the Rainbow Fund. And so on Saturday, I'll be marching at the front.
And it's going to be sunny. You're very lucky.
Yeah, the icon changed about 3 days ago. But we call it Pride weather. I mean, it usually is. It's a while, touch wood, since it has rained on Pride Saturday.
But it would still go ahead even in the rain, wouldn't it?
It will, and there are big tents in the park and what have you. So. But what it does do is affect, if it's going to rain, then we don't get many tickets sold on the day, which can affect the take and the amount that can be raised.
And how much was raised last year?
Well, for good causes, £100,000, of which we get 90,000. Right. And then there's another fund of £10,000, which helps to provide nothing to do with LGBT or HIV. For two places that are mainly affected by Pride, which is people who live around Preston Park and people who live around Kemp Town Village.
Right.
And of course their weekend is totally dominated by those things. So the £10,000 is used to support projects in those areas. Right.
Now tell me, you discovered that you were gay or had gay tendencies when you were 15, you said.
No, not quite. I think it's something that you become aware of rather than discover.
Right. Tell me about that. Did you feel guilty? How did you feel?
I felt...
did you know what it was all about? I mean, what year would that have been?
Well, when I was 15, now I knew before I was 15.
Yes.
Or I thought I knew. Yes. I knew that when I read books that involved, sex, that I was more interested in what the guys were doing than what the girls were doing.
What year would that have been?
That's
roughly?
Probably when I was about 13 or 14.
No, what year?
So that would have been 1963, 64.
And when did it become legalised?
50 years ago right now, so 1967.
Right, okay.
Right. But it was still very limited.
Yes.
Because it still only gave, that was for two people in a room in private or whatever. I was 15 then, and I don't remember, any big thing about that happening.
And where were you? Where were you living?
In Middlesex. My father worked at Heathrow Airport.
Okay.
I went to school in Hammersmith.
Yes.
So I went to a direct grant school, which is like a private school, but I had a scholarship paid by the council.
Right.
It was an all-boys school. It was all... So... And that was fairly... It was in the 60s, and it was fairly open about what talks were. And clearly a lot of the teachers were gay, but I can honestly say nothing ever happened at school. It was at university, really, before I embarked on any kind of sexual adventures.
Right.
And I was still under 21 then, though. So that was, it was still against the law.
Yeah.
In terms of whether I felt guilty, no. No, and I think actually, if you ask most gay people, despite the discrimination and the way that people are discriminated against, and still in a societal way, not necessarily in a legal way, I never came across that. I came.
Well, attitudes have changed, of course.
Yeah, but yes, but I was also a white, middle-class, educated. I didn't have to be living like the only gay in the village or those kind of things, or with parents. Interestingly enough, though, I didn't feel I needed to tell my parents or cross that bridge until much later. I was nearly 30 before I came out to my parents. Because I wasn't living at home, I was going back home regularly and what have you.
You tell me your mother, in fact, was German, so you're bilingual German, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, very interesting. And you said she was a refugee?
Well, she was a refugee from East Germany to West Germany, whereas the Russians came.
Ah, yes.
They had a reputation for raping women.
Ooh.
So my grandmother and three, my mum and her two sisters, all in various ways, got over to the west of Germany.
Right.
They ended up in a place called Gütersloh, because that's where her brother-in-law came from. There was a big RAF station there. She went to a Steiner school in East Germany.
Oh, that's interesting.
And learned in English.
And that's where she met your father.
No. She worked as a mother's help for a doctor for a doctor and his wife and child.
Yeah.
And when she got pregnant again, he got demobbed, came back to work as a GP in Hartley Witney in Hampshire, and brought my mum over for 6 months while the new baby was being born.
Uh-huh.
And then she met my dad.
Okay.
In England.
Yeah. So, what can one say?
So I didn't feel that I needed to come out, and I did feel a thing about I would let them down. But interesting enough, the first thing that my mother said to me was, "Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me?" So she felt let down that, in a way I've been living a double life, not lying, but not telling everything that I was doing and who I was seeing or whatever.
Yeah.
And in fact, my whole family, my German grandmother, aunts, what have you, and great, my brother, everybody was, and my dad, all very supportive and
fantastic.
And fine.
Good.
But not everyone has that experience.
No. Yes. Oh, very good. Okay. Well, we're going to continue with your life in part 3. Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
And have a wonderful time on Saturday.
Thank
do you want to give the website of the charity?
Yes, if I can remember. Actually, if you just Google the Rainbow Fund Brighton, then it's the first thing
Everything that comes up. Okay, right. Thank you very much.